Hey there, spirits, and welcome back to the graveyard. My name's Soul, and this is my ghost friend, Art.
Hello.
In this video, I'm going to show you how I turned this commissioned portrait into a three-dimensional paper cut framed piece, and how I cheated from buying a bunch of colored paper. Now let's cut to the chase. The materials you're going to need are white cardstock paper, a float frame, and glue sticks. The tools and machines you'll need are an iPad or some way to draw your portrait, a computer with Photoshop and the Cricut app, a printer, a Cricut, and a light grip mat. So this project was a commission for Matthew back in April. He sent me a DM over on Instagram to ask about a commission, and I accepted after some back and forth. Once we had an idea of what he wanted, he bombarded me with a bunch, and I do mean a bunch, of pictures of his pets, which I happily scrolled through. I love seeing other people's pictures of pets. He was the one who actually ordered the pet resin keychains that I made in my resin keychain video. I'll link that video up in the top right corner, so go check it out after this video. He was getting this commission for his wife's birthday and wanted to do a special art portrait of them with their cat and dog. So the first thing that I had to do was decide on how we wanted the portrait to look. I sent him some examples of things that I could do, and one of those was from the lovely @IPictureThis on Instagram. You should go follow them because they have lovely paper cut art. Well, he fell in love with the paper cut portrait, and this is how we made it. After we had a medium and style, it was on to making the portrait on my iPad with Procreate. Because everything is going to be cut out of paper, the style had to be very shape-oriented and simple. After going back and forth with references and doing a different pose sketch, we decided to go with another pose for them, and I added their pets from another reference photo into this portrait. That's right, artists are magicians like that. Just poof, add whatever you want to anyone and anything. Once he approved the sketch, I had to go in and choose what things were on what layers and what colors they needed to be. To separate the layers from your sketch, I would suggest thinking about it in 3D space. For example, the back of the hair would be on the bottom layer. Then the neck would go on top of that. Then the head, and lastly, the hair that goes on top of the face. And you want to make sure to draw sections under each piece that goes on top of it so you have something to glue the layer onto when you're putting it together. See how the neck extends behind the head so you can glue it onto it later. Then you'll just need to do that for all of the parts. Don't be afraid to also turn down the opacity and using masks to make the shapes to make it easier to line up later. I go into more depth about this process with my felt pet keychain video, so go check out that one after this one if you'd like to know more. Now that you know the process, it's on to making the shapes for all the parts that you'll need. Now, normally what you would do after finishing your art is buy a bunch of paper sheets in the colors of each layer. That might work well if you do this type of commission often and buy in bulk, or if you have a store that sells a wide variety of individually colored paper, but I wasn't in either of those positions. The craft stores near me didn't have close enough colors to what I was using, and this was a one-time commission, so I didn't need a bunch of colored paper. So I needed to come up with a solution to get the colors that I wanted and not have a bunch left over. So I went with this medium-thick white cardstock and planned to print out the colored shapes and use the Cricut print then cut feature to get the shapes perfectly. This worked really well for me, and I could get the extra shades I needed, and I could print out smaller details like the face directly onto the paper. The only small downside to this is that the edges of each shape will have white paper showing, but it's really not that noticeable unless you're looking at it from an angle and looking for it really closely. I don't know if this is considered fake or taboo in the paper cut community, but it worked out really well for me, and it can work out really well for you. Now that I had a solution, it was on to prepping the art for the Cricut. With your finished art, it's time to bring that file with the layers into Photoshop. You're going to make the file size the size of your white cardstock that you're going to print on. You're going to use the Cricut's print then cut feature full page hack that I use. What you need to do is put a 1/4 of an inch white squares into all of the corners of the paper. Then you need to decide on the final size of the artwork based on the frame that you're going to use. Resize the whole piece to fit that measurement. Then, without resizing anything, you're going to need to separate all of the pieces to lay next to each other with space around each shape on the paper. You might need to separate them onto different sheets of paper to make sure they all fit. Once you're happy with the sheets, you're going to remove the background and export it as a PNG file. Now take that PNG file and upload it into the Cricut app as a print then cut file. Those white squares we made earlier are a great way to resize the uploaded files to the correct sizing of the paper. With all of the files there, it's on to printing. Make sure you turn on the bleed feature and print using the system settings. I have a full tutorial on the best settings to use on my LGBT kitty video, so go check out that one in the top right corner. Then go ahead and print each sheet out. Unfortunately, I figured out those print settings after I made these, so the colors came out a little bit darker than I wanted them to, but it still turned out good. Now with the printed sheets, you're going to take a light grip mat with a keypad. See my one-shot sticker video on how to do that. And add one sheet at a time to the Cricut. Just make sure that the paper is facing the right way and that you do the right print with the right color. After that, you're going to peel each shape off of the mat. I suggest keeping the shapes in piles that correspond with each person so you don't get confused with what each shape is. Because I mean, oh god, what even is that? What is that?
Is that? Oh shit, what is that?
Then you're going to repeat this with every sheet until you have all the shapes.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm? Toe beans. The tiny toe beans. You should have just printed them, dude. I could also just draw them directly on. I think
Actually,
I might
you
do.
probably should. Because good luck gluing that.
Yeah, I might also do with the mouth.
Now enjoy this ASMR crafting montage. Once you have them all laid out, it's time to assemble them together with a glue stick. I suggest having your art with layers nearby because you're going to be assembling them in the same order that the art is drawn. Just take your time here and line everything as close to possible. Here we go again. Close to the possible. So just take your time here and line everything as close to possible. Just take your time here and line everything as close as possible to the digital version. And for the love of all that is good in the world, get yourself a decent glue stick. I was using this cheap one from the Dollar Tree and it would not keep the layers together. I had to go back and re-glue certain sections a second time because they were just popping off.
When I popped off, then you go game.
Oh, Your Highness, I'm sure it's not that noticeable.
All right.
He just like found you on Instagram?
I think he's one of my friend's friends.
Oh. Okay, that makes more sense.
Because when he messaged me, he said my real name, and I was like, my real name's not on my Instagram anymore, so he either memorized it from before I took it down, which was like a couple months back, or like he knows who I am. And I feel like it might be like Kim's friend or something.
Or he's a stalker.
Nah,
too. You know, Steve lives right there.
Surprise. He's getting my address from the freaking commission. He's at $100. There's nothing for getting the address.
He lives at that spooky house 2 houses down. It's vacant.
I think I can just put them on there like that and just close the frame.
Leave room for Jesus. Put Jesus in the middle. Now, I didn't think it was necessary to glue each person onto the couch, but it wouldn't matter anyways because once they were in the frame, they probably wouldn't be moved around again. Now, taking your frame and your extra set of hands, you'll need to open up the 2 sheets of glass or plexiglass to add your work. And we put on gloves to try and not add fingerprints to the inside of the glass when handling the frame, but I guess these gloves are cheap and had powder on them so they wouldn't stick together in the box, and that ended up getting in the frame. We had to go back in and clean the frames again after the beauty shots. But the gloves also made these weird farting noises when we would squeeze our hands together. Just listen. Then all you have to do is add your artwork to the frame and close it back up. Wipe down the glass with some cleaner and it's ready to go. On to the beauty shots. After that, I packaged the whole commission up in this cute packaging. Wrote them a nice thank you note, and wax sealed it with this wax kit Sam got me for my birthday. Then it was sent off to be shipped. It arrived right on time for her birthday, and they said they loved everything so much. It has always been a dream of mine to have my art living in someone's home, and that it brings them happiness whenever they see it. I hope to keep making art in the future that people love and that I love making. This project was super fun and new for me, and I think I'd like to do some more papercraft in the future. And with this hack, I don't have to worry about having the right color sheets of paper. Comment down below on what you think I should do a papercraft of. Maybe I'll make a video of it in the future. Also, sorry that this video was a little bit delayed. I was actually sick with COVID for a week, and I'm still getting over it now. Hence the stuffy nose voiceover. But as always, do all the normal YouTube things down below. Follow and tag me on any of my social media if you've made anything for my videos. And until next time, see ya!